Hello, hello. Welcome back to the second interview today. Today is Tuesday, and Penny and I are here partying over here as Eric's at the US Open at Oakmont, which only happens every 9 years. So it's very quiet in my house right now. So this is perfect conditions for this podcast because I am so excited to really edify and highlight the brilliance of all of our authors. And if you've been watching some of these podcast episodes, it's really amazing to see like what comes out and what people start sharing. And that's really my goal here, is to highlight the beauty and the brilliance of everything that these authors have poured their heart into. They dug deep. I know Melissa's going to be talking about that today. So I am just so excited to get started. But before we go into the interview and I introduce my beautiful guest here, I want to share a little bit about the Expanding Your Brilliance retreat that is happening here September 25th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And if you've been to my retreats before, you know that you're not just sitting there journaling, like, in the back, taking notes. We are having fun. We are getting involved. I'm going to be helping you with very specific, actionable things that you can do to unlock more profit, expand your business, to skyrocket your confidence, clients, and cash flow. Because we don't do average, we don't play small. I am here to stretch you into the bigness of who you are. So if that is exciting to you and you got to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, I'm your girl. So I'm really excited. I'll share more in the comments and the show notes here below. And there is a coupon code that you can use for the next couple days to claim to get some surprise money off. Okay, so let's dive right in. So Melissa Smith, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on today. I'm excited to just have a conversation with you and just, highlight some of the things from my experience with the book and writing it and things of that nature. But I'm Dr. Melissa Smith. I own and operate the Florida PGX Consulting. It is telehealth practice that helps me to reach clients that are trying to really find a root cause with their genetics to anything that they've been experiencing in their life when it comes to their medications, and if they've been having struggles with finding the right ones for themselves, understanding their mental health and what your genetics can really play a role in for that, and have a way to be able to navigate around that and a better plan for you overall without having to go through those unpleasant side effects or even ineffective treatments over and over again. But that's Florida PGX Consulting.
So I have been watching, I like stalk people. I've been watching. You're amazing. Whoever your graphic designer is, they do such a great job. Plus
Thank
the
you.
fact that I know you had a beautiful photo shoot. But I
Thanks.
saw, I think you were saying something about an antidepressant with a client that you just had, and you figured out that like Zoloft was the thing that was
Yes.
going to work better. Tell me about that.
So this is a very common occurrence. A lot of patients that I deal with are dealing with mental health issues and specifically questions around their antidepressants. But this one in particular was a client of mine that was taking Prozac for, it was about 6 months, and they really were struggling to just find relief with it. And I told this person, we really should get the genetics behind this, because they were doing a lot of trial and error for a long time with antidepressants, and they just couldn't get a read on what would be the next best step. And I said pharmacogenomics would be perfect for this. So we tested them, got our results back, and we found that the Prozac was one that they actually were not metabolizing correctly to where it would be creating more side effects, anxiety, things of that nature. And Zoloft was more of an appropriate therapy to choose there. So we ended up getting them switched, and they ended up feeling so much better by doing that. So yes, that was very unique, interaction, but a very common one that I hear from a lot of my clients that I engage with.
So I heard you say you attract a lot of people who have mental health challenges. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I would say because a lot of folks that are taking medications in general right now are on that perpetual cycle of trial and error with antidepressants. Not to mention, they a lot of times are it's a lifelong battle for them. So they really are trying to seek answers as to why that's happening for them. And the genetics can really tell a story for them for that. Not only can we look at how the medications react in the body, but we can look at other factors that contribute to more nutrient deficiencies, let's say, or if there's enzyme variations that are going to impact how they produce their own neurotransmitters, your happy neurotransmitters in your body that impact your mental health. There's a lot of things to look at when it comes to the genetics that people don't necessarily think about, but also gives them that aha moment of, whoa, this is why my whole life I've been dealing with this, and why I've had anxiety, why I've had depression, why I haven't been able to find the right medication. And it's a lifelong useful tool. It's a one-time test that provides a lifetime of answers for them that can be revisited over and over again. So that's what I enjoy the most about having interactions with the PGX information, is that patients literally will tell me things and we can align it with what their genetics are telling me live within that interaction. And then they feel more control. They feel like they have more of a say in, why things are happening to them. And then we can have an actual plan in place for them where if it's another medication, fine. If they're wanting to do more of a supplement route, a more holistic route, we can go that way as well. Nutritionally too. I mean, there's different things that we can do to combat these things they've been ailing them their whole lives. It's just not, their genetics are not their let's say their destiny. It's more of a tool, a roadmap on how we can maneuver through things to make their quality of life better.
Mm. So what made you passionate about this topic?
Wow. For me personally, like I said, I have generalized anxiety disorder. I've dealt with it my whole life. And when I became more knowledgeable of pharmacogenomics was back in 2020 when I was first opening my practice. I had learned about pharmacogenomics in school, but never was clinically practicing it. So for me, when I was dealing with all of my emotional issues, when I had first had my baby and I had postpartum depression and then PTSD and also anxiety I've had my whole life, I wanted some answers if I wanted to go the route of medications before I took them.
Mhm.
So initially it was for not a selfish reason, but a personal reason for myself to
Right.
find the information. I also wanted to do this for my dad. He had a very advanced form of prostate cancer, uh, stage 4. It was metastatic, and he was, we were at the end of our rope here with as far as treatments were concerned with chemotherapy and radiation. And I wanted to make sure whatever he was going on next, that I had all information for him as well prior to starting a clinical trial. And he was one of the only people to survive that clinical trial that he participated in, which is
Wow.
now a medication that has been FDA approved and is used for that particular type of testing. But my dad's a big one for me as far as inspiration when it comes just to one, understanding the genetic component and making sure that he was safe in that capacity for him, but also how he emulates to me in his life, like the reason why he survived. It was not only just the clinical trial that he participated in, it was his lifestyle choices, the nutrients that he was taking in that really saved his life, being his own self advocate. And that's where I realized that that's what I want to be able to do for others, is help them become their own advocate for themselves when it comes to medications, when it comes to understanding their genetics and how it can impact their health. It's important. And not a lot of practitioners are doing this for their patients at all. And really, we're dealing with just, diagnose, prescribe, and then prescribe another pill to fix the side effect of the other, that they're
Yeah.
experiencing on one medication. There's not a root cause analysis happening here for a lot of patients. And a lot of apprehension from providers in general wanting to order this type of testing for their patients because they're not familiar with it and don't understand it. And that's really not their fault. They were never, trained in pharmacogenomics or the genetic component when it came to this kind of management. And this is why it called to me, because my passion when I worked in corporate pharmacy was to counsel the patients, hear them, and kind of figure out what's going on with them, and then lead them in the right direction. And this allows me to do that every day.
Mm. So I'm almost hearing that like you meet the patient where they're at as far because I loved how you said before, like if they want a more holistic route. So it's like that roadmap, their genes are the roadmap, and then you're helping them as the expert, like piece it together. Okay, like what's the best treatment? Do they want to look at their supplements? And I think that's really amazing. And it's, I don't know too much about pharmacogenomics anyway, like to be honest, but I think that the way that I see you educating through Instagram and on social media, and I'm sure in your everyday lived experience, I think is so needed because it is life changing.
Yes,
The work that you're
definitely.
doing is so important.
And that's why I go to social platforms, because so many folks are uneducated or unfamiliar with this concept. So that's why I produce such content to educate them on what pharmacogenomics is, or nutrigenomics, or even endo-DNA testing. That's to see how you metabolize CBD and THC type products if you're wanting to go that route as well, for pain management, for anxiety, for sleep. I mean, I want to offer it all. I want you to have a full picture analysis and review of what's possible, and giving you more control and confidence in your decisions, because a lot of folks are going in, not a lot, all folks are going into it blind for the most part without this kind of information. It can prevent a lot of, adversities as well, from side effects to, God forbid, hospitalizations or allergic reactions to things. Uh, it just, for me, it just makes sense. It's a type of test that should be incorporated automatically. I think it's like when you have a blood test done to see where all your levels sit, you should be having this genetic test so we know how to truly dial in your medication selection.
I feel like that will be the standard 20 years from now, maybe. But I also want to
Oh, I think
highlight
we're
too.
closer.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I don't. What do I know about pharmacogenomics? You know a lot more, but I love too how you highlight it's FSA covered,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You also take that.
Yes, and that goes towards your supplements as well. So anything as far as, your medications are covered through your FSA, but a lot of people don't realize that services like mine, like counseling, the genetic testing, the supplements also, that you can put through your FSA and HSA account. And yes, that's why I want to make people aware of that, because sometimes we can be apprehensive to, paying out of pocket for something, but when you've already got money set aside for this type of healthcare, and it being available to you to use towards those types of other methods, why not? I mean, and yes, and a lot of folks just don't realize that they can do that.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. I almost see like a little graphic on Instagram with a checklist, like this is what's covered.
Right?
Yeah, that would be
Yes.
really cool. That's your next one.
Yes.
So
Agreed.
talk to me about let's kind of like go into the book a little bit. What was your I don't know, like what do you want to share about that experience, or like what sticks out the most when you think about how you've kind of expanded your brilliance with the book? Because I know that was a lifelong
Wow.
dream of yours to write a book. So tell us a
Yes.
little bit more.
It is a lifelong dream for me to be able to write a book, contribute to a book, and I just didn't know how to get started. And I know that Tara said this in her podcast with you. I watched that one the other day when you guys were on with each other, and it's a very
Oh,
similar experience. I just didn't know where to start, and being able to be a part of a group that was contributing to such a, the concept of it, I mean, expanding your brilliance, but a bunch of mothers working in different practices and being entrepreneurs and balancing that and giving their stories as to what led them up to that was what I loved about it. And and that's why I wanted to share it, because everybody has their own journey. Mine was unique, as all of theirs were. So for me, it was just being able to contribute in a different way and show, a more vulnerable side to myself as well. It's very difficult for me to do that. We've talked about this, for me to show just a vulnerable side, one that people can relate to and understand that they're not alone if they have had similar paths or journeys and experiences, especially when it comes to my postpartum journey, after having my baby, having to, go into a new pharmacy, being a manager there during a pandemic with all the unknowns that came with that. And I had to just finally break down and say to myself, I can't do this anymore. I just
right.
can't allow myself to, like I said, like a shell of myself. I lost myself in that journey because I was dedicating all this time towards a job that wasn't fulfilling, and it scared the hell out of me because I just didn't know what was going to happen, and I was worried about my son. And I also was just, at the time, I didn't realize how deeply I was sucked into the postpartum depression itself. I was in
Right.
survival mode, fight or flight mode, and I just was going. And there was a point, a pivotal moment where I just stopped and I was in a breakdown. I literally broke down in my closet. My husband came to me to console me and told me, "You just can't do this anymore. You need to be here for Leo." And I'm like, yes, yes, I do. And so it was in that moment that his support, but also my breaking point was just to leave
Hmm.
and search out a different avenue to explore. And that's where I met Jackie Boyle. She was actually my original mentor, and she's also one of the contributing authors to
Yep.
Expanding Your Brilliance. And when I saw her come on board to participate with this book as well, I knew that I wanted to be a part of it because she was just such an instrumental part in me, taking that leap of faith in myself and doing something different. So yes, that's long story short, that's kind of where it brought me a full circle moment to wanting to contribute to the book.
Yeah, I can really relate to that postpartum, like especially if you're used to, like, if you've never had a child before and then you do, it's like you're not sleeping, then
Nope.
you feel like you're going crazy. Like it's hard. Like I've been homeless. I've had a lot of bad shit happen to me in my life, and I was like, nothing is harder than that. Like
Yes.
I have a total new appreciation for mothers. Like I see people with 3 kids. I'm like, how? I can't
Hmm.
even have one. Like I
I
just
know.
can't.
I
So it's
and
hard.
it's a whole different level of worry that you never even knew was going to come until you have them. You can prepare all you want for motherhood, but until you've had your child, there's just, and that was hard for me. Like I was that type of mom when I first had Leo that I had everything planned out, but then once he was here, it was a whole new sense of worry and just like to the point where when they're sleeping, I have a foot monitor on him. So that way I know he's breathing at night. Like that's the type of worry that came through me as a mom. And I never traveled with him. I never wanted to expose myself to the uncertainties of the world. So we were very much homebodies. And it was also when he was young during the pandemic, too. So there were
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of things that were contributing to my own self isolation and keeping him safe from all the things
Oh yeah.
that were happening at the time, but just a whole different level. Like I say this time and time again whenever I talk to somebody who's about to have their baby, like you can prepare all you want, but you need to know that when they're here, it's going to be a different level. You're never it's a love worry. Like you're constantly wanting to make sure that they're, and you have like these intuitive things like where you hear them crying like from like and they're not even anywhere near you and there's something wrong. Like
Yes.
so it's a visceral
Well,
thing
you're
that you just
connected
can't
to them
explain.
literally. So
Yes,
yeah.
at a cellular level you are,
Yep.
and I've experienced that time and time again with him for sure.
Oh, I love it. Well, so you said you were talking to me before we popped on about like balancing kind of the summer schedule and things like that. So, like what I don't know, like what is your tip that you have for people that, their kids are out of school and now it's like
Yeah.
what do I do?
So Leo's in camp, but there's days where I want to pick him up early. I don't want him to be in camp all day. I want to be able to spend time with him and him have time at home with me. My husband and I both work from home, which is, not uncommon these days, but really nice for us, but also can be troublesome when we're trying to have meetings and trying to balance him when he's at home with us as well.
Right.
So my tip is to be gentle on yourself. There's going to be times where you're going to need to have them watch a movie and they're going to have to be entertaining themselves. And it's just kind of being prepared ahead of time. And Leo's 6. So he's very intuitive to like daddy and mommy being on meetings. He's used to that now. But what I do to combat that is I have an activity for him. Usually he's sitting right next to me, but down beside me. And then he's
Uh-huh.
either drawing or he's playing a game on his iPad. He's near me. All he wants to do is just be near me because my office is unique. It's in my dining room. I transform my dining room into my office, so it's an open space. So Leo
Oh,
can
it's so
literally run.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm like,
thank you.
oh, can I just transport myself there? Like, oh, I always look at your pictures and the videos. I'm like, wow, that is nice.
Well, we
Yeah.
never used our dining room and I wanted to repurpose it for something, a beautiful space like,
Yes.
when you walk into our house, my office is what you see first.
Ooh, I want to,
So
you should do a little like behind the scenes. I want to
yeah,
see what your
I
house looks
can.
like.
For sure, for sure. Yes. But what's nice about it is it allows for freedom of Leo being able to come in and out of this room and not feeling like my door's closed. And I want him to, he understands that when I'm on with a client, he can't be like interrupting me every second, but that's never going to happen all the time. Okay. He's going to
Yeah.
interrupt me. He's going to need something, and that's okay. And I allow myself the grace to tell somebody, hey, I'm at home. My son needs me for a second. Just give me a second. I'll be
Right,
right
right,
back.
right. Yep.
Yes. And I think that that's what I was always afraid of a lot too, when having interactions via telehealth or having a counseling session or just talking to somebody in business, and then having a little one run in. It appears unprofessional, but it's not. It's real life. Everybody relates to it.
Yeah.
it,
Oh my
it
God.
makes
Yeah.
it makes me
Or a dog
recall.
barking. Yeah.
Yes, just it's real life, and it is what it is, and you don't always have to be as polished. That's a difficult thing for me to do, is to come off as unpolished, because that's kind of like my protective like mask in the world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a defense mechanism for me to always just kind of be appear polished, but really it's messy on the background.
Well,
It
I was
really
gonna
is.
say it's not messy, it's ooey gooey in there because I know I've had enough interactions with you. Like you are a highly in tune person that feels deeply, and I love that about you. That is one of your hidden strengths that I'm like, bring that out. I want to see it.
I know, and I think that it's just from, because I can get so emotional that it's like an ugly cry, and it's like an
You couldn't
uncomfortable
be
like.
ugly if you freaking tried.
That is not that's not true. That's not true. I just think that vulnerable side of me, allowing me to like kind of break down. I don't know why I feel like it would perceive as disingenuine for any reason, because it's not. Like, it takes a lot for me to like
Yep.
break down the shell and allow it to come out. And I also think it's just kind of a defense mechanism for myself, that if I keep it together and not let myself break down, then it's like, then I don't have to answer the questions, or I don't have to dive more deeply into uncomfortable things for me. I think
Yep.
that's a big thing too. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people are like that. And I just have to give myself some grace on it sometimes, but also allow it to come down, because that's where the connection happens. And you're truly right
Yeah.
about that.
So, what I admire about you so much is you say that you're not vulnerable, but like you are. Like, look right here. Like, even during the book project, you were the one like leaning in, answering questions, engaging. Like, I really admired that so much because you're all in, and I could feel
Mhm.
that. Like, you showed up to the coaching calls, you were like bearing your soul. So, like, I really want to just take a moment and acknowledge you that I saw that I see
Thank you.
you and the beautiful heart that you have to really help people. And the avenue is through pharmacogenomics, but like really people want to feel heard. And I know that you do that with your clients. So I'm just really celebrating you and congrats on the book. I know you've got so many, if you want to share quickly, because I know we're, we're well
Oh,
past 20
goodness.
minutes, but tell us
Yes.
some exciting things coming up.
So, some exciting things coming up. I am actually going to start podcasting regularly with the Pharmacist Podcast Network, and my episode series is the Precision Medicine Pharmacist. So basically, it will be a avenue for me to speak with different practitioners or different laboratories, just introducing, the concepts that are actively being pursued within the world of precision medicine. Not even necessarily pharmacogenomics. It can be nutrigenomics. It can be other types of genetic testing that's really just, providing a whole new lens for the world to think about how health and wellness can be managed. But also, I'm going to be speaking at the Florida Pharmacists Association annual conference in Orlando in July 19th. I will be presenting on two topics. It's about fun topics, actually, innovative new drug therapies, but also new delivery systems that are being introduced in 2025. So I will be doing that as well. And I have to thank you for even getting me in alignment with the Florida Pharmacists Association. I'm a Florida pharmacist, for crying out loud. I'm also a member of the Florida Pharmacists Association. Never, ever thought about reaching out to them to help engage and provide continuing education or speaking at these conferences. So I really have to thank you for helping me just realize that that is an avenue that I thoroughly enjoy. I never even knew how much I enjoyed creating that kind of educational content.
I love it. And honestly, one of the reasons why I referred you is because I saw how engaged you were in the process. And so I was thinking about, like, God drops in these downloads and I'm like, Melissa Smith. Okay, here we go. And I just connected. And so, but you're the one, right, that had to step in and do it and take the
Yes.
action. And
Oh,
so you're
yes.
expanding your brilliance. You got the podcast, you got
Yes.
all of these wonderful opportunities that open up when we take scary action and we're like, all
Yes,
right,
it
I
is
don't know what's going to
scary.
happen, but here it is.
I'm scared of the Florida Pharmacists Association speaking engagement for sure. I know that I'm equipped to do it, but still, it's a big step for me because it's one thing to film like a CE virtually. It's another thing to speak in public entirely. So
Yes. Oh, I
it's
know. Yeah. Trust me,
that'll
I
be
know.
interesting. I know you do it all the time and you do it beautifully. So I got to take some tips
Oh.
from you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being on, for sharing your heart so openly and vulnerably. And I will actually tell people where they can connect with you before we hop off
Yes.
here.
Yes, I think the easiest place is to go to www.floridapgxconsulting.com. That has links to everything, related to my business, my LinkedIn, my email, how to contact me. That's where you can find me.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I will make sure to put that in the show notes below. And we will see you. The next Expanding Your Brilliance interview is on Thursday. So I'm really
Okay.
excited for that. All
I'm
right.
excited. I'm watching all of them. Okay. Thanks, Christine.